Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to today's live Reuzel Scumbassador demonstration. I'm Carrie Fonte with Reuzel Education. We're so glad you're with us. Today, we have our Scumbassador, Christina Pudil. She's never done this before. We're so happy she's here, and she's going to take us through a terrific haircut demonstration. Remember, if you have any comments, questions, or feedback, please type them in the comment section. I'll interrupt Christina, and we'll get you the answer. And of course, we always want to know where you're watching from, so type that in there as well. And Christina, with that, I'll stop talking and I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Christina Pudil, and I'm a Scumbassador from the good old Rocky Mountains in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and welcome to my shop. I love Reuzel. I love the company. My clients love Reuzel. So I'm here today to spread some greasy gospel, specifically in Reuzel's haircutting techniques. Like Carrie had said, Carrie's going to be on the other end relaying some questions to me and comments, and shoot where you're from, and I'll do the best of my ability to answer every one. So before we get started, Reuzel's foundation is the key to our success. We use this technique in every haircut, and this technique travels across the world. So the first thing that you're going to do is we're going to start with saturation. You're going to fully saturate the hair using 1 part hair tonic and 5 parts water. And with the saturation, you really are having the canvas be even, and you get cleaner lines and cleaner cuts. And in the end, you get clear work. So once you have the hair fully saturated, we're going to look at the head. And we're doing the executive contour today, by the way. We're going to start with our baseline. So with the baseline, you're going to look at their flattest part of the head, and you're going to put your comb at the flattest part of the head, and you're going to follow it all the way through to the nape of the neck. So you're going to start here and follow it all the way through, because you want to have that natural shape of the head, which is what is going to make it so unique, because you can cut this same haircut on Joe, Evan, Randy, and it is going to be the same technique, but it is customized to their head. So he has a little bit of shorter hairs. That's okay, because we want to utilize that length, because you don't want to go too far into it, because anything past that bend point is going to stick straight up. And then if you go too long on that bend point, it's going to create weight. And we don't want weight. We want to have a good balance with the bend to the shape of his head. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask Carrie, and then she'll relay it to me, and we'll get those questions answered. And if I can't find the answer, or I can't answer the question, I will find the answer for you. All right. So prior to me and Evan's consultation, he likes to go about a medium 1. When he walks in, he's like, hey, I like a medium 1. And I'm like, okay, cool. But with that, guards are essentially training wheels. So once you can identify what a 1 is, which are the wall combs are a 1. So that's also very helpful to know, because that's when you can really go in and customize the haircut. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start over the ear. And Evan gets his haircut a lot, and quite often he's a 2-weeker, so we're really just redoing the haircut and detailing them with showing the techniques on a 2-weeker essentially. So if you can see the bend in the haircut, when you're cutting in the baseline, you want to make sure that your comb is sitting 90 degrees elevation. And tension with the comb is very important, because the comb is doing all the work. Your clippers are essentially just like the sidekick, because if you go too far into the hair, it's going to create holes, and it's not fun. So really just detailing a little bit, cutting into that baseline. And you want to keep the same elevation all the way through the baseline and create a solid flow all the way through. Even if you're not cutting anything off, that's okay, because we still have to keep the same elevation, the same technique all the way through the baseline, no matter if you're taking hair off or you're not. So how we like to do is we work one side to the other. And what we're going to do is we're going to taper it all the way down to a 1, essentially, and we're going short to long. So this is being our point A, and our baseline point B, that's how I always like to remember, is the baseline. And you're going to taper going from short to long to that baseline. Don't worry about up and over the ears and the taper on the sideburns in the back of the neck. We're going to do that all the way at the end when we're dried and it's time for detailing. Again, following the same technique all the way from the bottom, going short to long. Really just connecting the dots all the way through. I actually learned this from George. I didn't know this, but this line right here is actually a perfect spot for your clipper to move up and down. Something you learn every day. And remember, whatever you learn today, whether it's one thing or it's 1,000 things, you learn something, because education is power. All right, so once we've completed the right side, we're going to mirror on the left side with creating that same baseline and that same technique. Always saturated. It's and that hair tonic actually acts as like a cutting lotion as well, so it really does help keep the hair saturated and nice and, you know, saturated. Right. Again, because we're mirroring, and both sides aren't going to be the same. We have 2 sides for one, and they're not going to be sisters. Or no, they're not going to be identical twins. They're just going to be, you know, essentially sisters. So, and if you don't feel like you're like, you know what, like I need to make sure that you're the same length, you can go ahead and measure with your comb. The cutting combs have measurements on them. And you can always measure out your baseline with that. 90 degrees elevation all the way through, following the parting. Going short to long. And if you're left-handed, really shouldn't have said, like, you know, start on the right side. Just start on the side that you're dominant with. So if you're dominantly left-handed, I know Bailey, she does a really good left-handed demo. She starts on the left and she works her way around. All right, so we're going to take a look. Creating the baseline. Remember, we want a baseline that's 90 degrees. We don't want a weight line. And then the minute that you go too into the hair, you're going to destroy that bend that we're trying to keep, because that's going to be the transition from the baseline to the top. This is, or the sides to the top, because this is what's the transition of it. I'm going to finish up back here. If anybody has any questions, let me know. And what I notice that helps me personally is that when you hold it at an angle, it softens up the line when you're going short to long. So you're not having to work as hard because you're already blending it at that angle. Just something to try out. You know, if you just utilize one of these techniques throughout one of your haircuts, or you try, it literally changed the way I cut hair. And I learned this 3 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, I I can never not cut any different from how Reuzel and we cut hair. So it's definitely a really good technique that you should utilize in every haircut. You can do this haircut on any type hair, any style, dark, yellow, pink, blue, purple, it doesn't matter, any texture, because it works for all types. Again, keeping it very saturated. If you can hold down the hair with water, it'll hold down with product. And also, you want to give your client a haircut that they're going to be able to do at home. You don't want to give them a haircut that requires like a lot of blow drying. And I mean, if they want to do like the big pompadour, cool, but you want them to be able to just like wash and go and it'd be okay. And also, Cosmos, do not be intimidated by the clipper over comb, because essentially your clipper over comb is shear over comb. Just remember, your shears are 1,000 clippers, or no, your clippers are 1,000 shears. So don't be afraid. Just keep that tension in that comb and use your just like shear over comb. You would use clipper over comb. I was there, trust me. And when I converted, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But then you can be unique and work both sides and have clipper over comb and shear over comb, and it'd be good. All right. Again, I'll probably, when we're done with all like the tapering and stuff, I'm going to go off camera once we're done, and like if there's any lines, I'll definitely fix that for him because we don't want that. Once we have created the taper going short to long on both sides, we're going to move to the top. And this is where we're going to start doing the transition from the top to the sides. So how we're going to keep the front long, we're going to create a triangle shape in the front. Evan, can you put your head down for me? Thank you. I like to start at his recessive point right here, and I like to, again, this is all customized to the shape of his head. So halfway through, you got your first part. We're working right to left or left to right, whichever side you started on. And if the hair is long enough, or it's like really thick, just cut it into parallel partings and pull the first parting meeting the baseline. Again, you're combing to your baseline. Comb as many times as you want. And you're cutting to the baseline. Making sure that your posture and everything is solid, and your arms are up and your back is straight and your chair moves, your arms are 90 degrees and you're moving up and down with the chair, and you're following the same shape as your baseline. Everything correlates to this baseline. It's what we pride ourselves on. If the hair doesn't reach, you fully blended the side to the top, and just work your way down. Pulling the hair to the baseline, because that's what the transition is to the top from the sides. So with the front part, because we like to utilize and keep some length, if his hair was super long, we would comb it down and we would, angle it and go like that, or angle it. But what I like to do, because his hair is a little shorter and we just do like a little pump, I like to scoop it and meet my baseline through there. Because the scooping is going to over direct it, and it's going to add the length on top, and it's going to be more natural. There's going to be no blunt cut with that. It's going to be all blended. So then when I scoop it and meet it to my baseline, it's already tapered down. Again, on the left side, creating that triangle, clean partings, And this is perfect. This technique is perfect for people with calyx, because some people are like, when in doubt, cut it out. Do not do that, because in 2 weeks it's going to be spiking straight up, and your client's going to have more troubles trying to get that calic down than if you were to leave it longer and follow the shape of his head than cutting out his calic. Never cut out the calyx, in my opinion. And it really does. I'm telling you this, it'll change your whole way of cutting hair. So we're combing to the baseline. His hair is not long enough to do it in sections, so I'm just pulling it all the way down. Kneading it to my baseline. And you guys can see that he has a ridge through here. We will take care of that when he's fully blow dried, because this is just the rough draft. We're just cutting the hair wet. This is the rough draft. The real haircut starts when we finalize dry, and we'll start our blending. So once we followed all the way through from the top to the sides, following our baseline, he has a little bit more length on here, so it looks a little different, but these are even through. Again, your cutting combs have a little measurements right there if you want to go through and you want to double check your work. You can do all the way through the baseline. So we're still blending the sides to the top. So when you move from the sides to the top, you have this area in the back that's a lot longer, but we want this because length is going to, work with gravity, and it's going to hold it down. So what we're going to do is find the shortest point. Let me pull this all the way up, and the shortest part at the top. And we're going to graduate from short to long, creating a slight slope. Depending on how long the hair is on the front and how short how it is in the back with the baseline, that's what's like how drastic it's going to be. This is going to be very subtle. And we just cut at a slight slope. And because we've already blended, we've pulled all this to the baseline, this is already blended through. So that's like, it's so amazing because you're like, oh, I don't have to like go through and like cross check everything. I already like blended the top to the sides, because that's what you did when you pulled everything to your baseline. And before I start to blow dry and go in and really detail and stuff, and we're going to add some grooming tonic. Grooming tonic is really good because it has a heat protectant, and if he's like a wash and go type guy, it's perfect because you just put it in your hair. I mean, I think Evan, you use this once in a while if you like go to the gym or something, and you don't want it to look like you have product in your hair, but you definitely look like you styled it. So it's a really great product. Does anybody have any questions out there? Tell me where you're from. All right. So when you start to blow dry, again, this is just our rough draft. You want to start from the back moving forward. You never want to lay wet hair on top of dry hair, because that kind of defeats the purpose. But you also want to be like, you don't want to go crazy with the blow dryer, because that's what the end result's going to look like. You want to keep it uniform. You want to make sure that you're keeping it consistent all the way through, because that's what's going to give it that nice uniformed look and then educate your client. Be like, hey, look, like this is how you do it. You just start at the back, move forward. And where your blow dryer is going to go, that's where the hair is going to go. So when we blow dry, this is called a vent brush. The vent brush is going to be a brush that the hair actually goes through, so the heat can also penetrate the hair, but also it's not going to burn the head either, and it's not going to stay trapped in the brush. It's going to have a good flow all the way through. I just like to look where the hair is starting to lay and how it's laying, just like before we move on in any consultation and stuff. You just have to make sure that you're giving your client what they want, and also like introducing them into like different styles, because that's always important. And when you do your blow dryer, medium or high pressure, medium heat, because he's not trying to be here all day. I'm not trying to be here all day, as much as like, you know, we are here all day. Medium heat, high pressure, and direction of your nozzle. Always use a nozzle, because that's where it's going to direct the heat to in one direction. And you're not going to be able to hear me while I blow dry, but I'll do my best to kind of scream over it a little bit without being like obnoxious. And I kind of like choke up the brush kind of high, and so I have like a better grip on it. And then also what I've noticed, that because I hold it up here, I can also tell the temperature too. So if I feel like it's even getting hot on my fingers, it's going to get hot on Evan's scalp. And so we just have to make sure that we're maintaining like comfortness for our clients. All right, so I'm going to swing them around, and we're going to high pressure, medium heat, start from the back. I didn't put it on medium heat. You can kind of see his cowlick. You can kind of see his cowlick through here, how it's still like bouncy. That's okay, because we still have him in his bend range, and that's where you're still gonna be like, okay, cool. It's gonna lay down. It's just laying down with water. It's gonna lay down with product, but also it's going to not give him so much troubles when he does go home and style himself. Because Evan's not gonna pump it up every day, but he's definitely he does style his hair. All right, you want to stay. So I'm working the right. This is all going to be on the right. As a hairdresser, you know that you're going to have to use both hands, and you're going to work the left, and switch hands and work this side. We're still working the back, and we're going to work our way up. Back to the halfway point on that end, going back to the other end, other side. I don't trip over this. I'm gonna lower Evan down. Woo, sorry. I'm gonna lower Evan down just a little bit, because you don't want to hurt your back or anything, and you want to get to the top of his head. So, sorry. Clothes around here. This is where you're gonna start building some height. At this recessive point right here, this is where it's we're really gonna build it up. Getting that little hook at the top is what's gonna help lay it, and it's gonna give it that slope, big pompadour effect. Even with not even having like 6 inches of hair, and even little baby pompadours need to live. Again, right through here is where you're gonna start to build it. And then to set it, hit it with some cool, and else it's gonna set the hair. Just like when you do like hot sets or anything like that, that's what's gonna set the hair. And then you had all that heat on his head, so the cool air really does add like a little extra detail to the haircut. So we're gonna go into the blending portion of it. And when you blend, it's very important to remember that this is your final part of the haircut. You can really do some damage with some blending shears if you cut too much. And you don't want to cut too far down, because in that point you're collapsing the hair. And remember, 1 snip is 25% of discarded hair, 2 snip is 75% of discarded hair, and 3 snips is 100% it's gone. So keep that in mind when you're going in and you're blending, because we're not just cutting to cut, we're cutting to finalize the haircut. And you always want to make sure that when you are going to finalize and blend your hair, that it's always dry, never wet, because at the point you're just cutting hair. So we're going to go through and we're going to start with the blending portion of the haircut. Just like we did with the clip over comb, we're going to start on the right side or your dominant side, and we're going to work over the ear and blend to the top. We go to essentially like a 1, so there's not too much down, but the transition through the 1 and our baseline is what we're going to really going to be detailing. Again, using the same tension with your comb as you would with your clippers, because you don't want to dig into his head, because then we're going to start creating holes. And some people even just cut the whole entire head with just blending shears, but with this technique, you want to set that foundation, set the baseline, make sure everything's right on that end, because you don't want to go in blind. And when I tell you this has changed my whole entire way of cutting hair, I'll never go back. It is amazing. And we have great Scumbassadors that demo different haircuts, and we work as a team, and we like to represent Reuzel in the best way we can, and it's a really, really great product, a really great company. I mean, I love it. Clients love it, you know what I mean? So we just softened the baseline from the 1 to baseline. Again, he doesn't have to wear it pumped up like this. He can wear it however he likes, which I think he looked great, but, you know, follow all the way through the baseline. That's how you're going to keep your work organized, is taking each step at a time. Again, we're going to start on the left. We're going to shear over comb it all the way up. And any parts that we see that is a little bit fuller or bulky or longer in any way, that's what's going to did this section. I'm going to move to the front and detail a little bit through there. Also don't want to destroy the baseline that we had just created. It's going through, removing some of the weight through here. Not a lot, because we want to have that lay down. We want to have the hair and gravity work as a team and have it lay down on its own. So that's really the point. We're trying to create a foundation for the hair, because you never want to go too deep into them, and it'll collapse the hair. People are like, oh, we need to thin out the hair, we need to thin out the hair, and it's like, well, we need to make sure that we have some hair to work with. All right. Sorry, I'm spinning you around a little bit. Just gonna go through just the spot real quick because I see it's a little bit fuller. All right. So now it's time for detailing. I'm going to detail his sideburns to the back of the neck, down to skin, because you want it to be at the most natural state at all times. I think we got a trend going here. Because then it doesn't grow out in a shape. When you're putting shapes in there, it's going to grow out in that shapes, and it's going to look like, oh, that guy needs a haircut. But when it grows out with tapered all the way down, it's going to be a little bit more natural for your client and for you to go back in and really detail that. All right. And also, when you are detailing the back of the neck, there's rules that we have created that you never want to go, this is his neckline, you never want to go 2 fingers and up, because then you're going to start becoming like it's going to become like a medium fade, and that's not what we're doing. We're giving him a taper in the back, and that's going to be, and he has like a softer neckline anyway, so that's actually going to be his best option between square, rounded, scrounded, tapered. This is going to be the best. And I taper every single one of my clients' neckline, unless he's like a scissor cut all the way over, and even then that's going to be a slight taper, whether it's just like longer hair. Just taper essentially is just going from short to long. And it's also like it's a good extra detail. Like, it takes a little bit longer, but that's how you get your clients coming back. So today I think we're going to use the Reuzel blue on Evan's hair. Because he has some grays coming through, the shine actually kind of camouflages it a little bit. And you know, not that we don't want to rock like the Silver Fox look, but it camouflages it, and he has darker hair, so we will, it looks, I think it looks good with dark hair, and when you have lighter hair, you don't want it to look like super greasy, so that's why I use more of a matte based for my lighter clients. I know it looks like I'm going high, but it's actually his neckline is a little higher, but we're just really just dusting it. So I'm bringing out my half guard, and that's really going to help me with to diffuse that line a little bit. Again, I'm like pretty stationary. I let my chair do all the work, because I feel like that's why they're supposed to spin and pump up so you don't destroy your back. So we got two products in so far. We got hair tonic, we got grooming tonic, and we're gonna finish off with Reuzel blue can. This one right here. This one's going to be a water soluble, and it's going to be the stronger of the brother and sister, the blue and the red. And that's going to be able, Evan's going to be able to wash that out. But if he did like to pump up his hair every day, we would introduce like the green and the pink, because those are going to help him build up some product, and it's going to stay in his hair. Which actually quite a few of my clients like to use some grease, and they love it. So I think he used the green, actually. The green or the pink, one of the two. And we're going over the ears. When you do the, when you're going over the ears and you're going to shape up the neckline, you want to follow it all the way to its natural state. You don't want to create a shape into their neckline, because again, in 2 weeks, they're going to be here with like all these stubbles. So you want to make sure it's at their natural hairline. Just get the little extra hairs that are sticking out. Again, I'm going to go through with the after to detail the line, and then, but just for time reasons, I'm just going to detail a little bit. Same with over the ear, really natural. Can I get a thumbs up on how many of you guys have actually used Reuzel on the live chat, just to see what we got? How many people actually utilize it on every client, or if they have it in their shop? Just curious to see where we need to go take you guys so we can get you guys some Reuzel in your life. We're across the world. Literally, we've created this whole entire empire of amazing products and techniques, and it's really awesome. Like, Carrie, no, should we get you some products? And then we're going to taper the sideburns as well as part of our detailing. We're tapering it down to skin so it grows out natural. Everything is attention to detail. Take the time to taper, to blend, to really educate your clients on what you're doing and how you're doing it, how to put on product, and that's what we're here for. We're here to educate them, and we're here to give them good, solid haircuts. That's why we start with the foundation. Then we move to the blow dry, the blending, the product, the education portion of it, you know, but in a timely manner. You don't want to sit here and blow them out for 50 minutes. Do it in a timely manner, and it'll work out, and you'll have clients coming back. So we're going to use the Reuzel Blue. It's a strong, cold, water-soluble, and you're going to do two knuckles worth. And water dilutes things, so you want their hair completely dry, and it'll already be dry because you already went through the blending process and stuff. And then, so water dilutes it, so if you're like, oh man, this is a little too strong, just add a spritz of water and it'll be good. So how he would do it at home, that's what you want to tell them is how they do it, because you can do this all day. And yeah, so what you want to do, have him get in his hands, have it top of the knuckles, emulsify it all the way. And what you're going to tell Evan is you're going to go from this way to this way. This is Evan doing it, okay? We're doing roots to ends. You're going to emulsify it all the way through. How I'm going to do it is I'm going to work just like blow dry back to the front. And we're going to get all the way through the roots to the ends. Just emulsify it all the way through. It's going to look a hot mess for a little bit, but we just got to make sure that the haircut is all the way emulsified. So. And you can also cocktail these products. Let's say that he wants to add like a more greasy look on the top, but he wants to be able to shampoo it out. Just add the water soluble into the roots and then add the grease on top. Or if he likes lift, the Reuzel texture powder works really well with like the roots, and it adds lift, especially if you're blonde or if you have thinner hair. That's going to be a perfect product for you. And yeah, these are really, really good products. All right, so because it's a water soluble, I can really go from, I could use a regular comb instead of if he was using a grease, I would use my pick. And because then it'll destroy your comb because it's plastic, and you want to work from the back to the front and start building that height. And you know what else is a really great tool that actually most of us have is our hands. Use your hand to utilize the height, and you want to work it. And if you need more product, add the product. So there's no rule against that. Yeah, so we're creating the duck's ass in the back. That's where it's just going to meet. We got a lot of the length coming through. Give it that rockabilly greaser look. Can you give it to that? A baby one. Sorry. Strong stuff. Does anybody have any questions or anything like that? All right, so this is where we're going to start building the front. Not the recessive. You're going to go straight up with it. And then use your hand, kind of pat forward to give it that angled look. And then repeat on the other side. I don't think we pumped your hair up this high before. All right, so we've detailed, we've tapered, we've thrown some product in and educated him like, hey, look, like this is how you achieve this look on his own once we've gone through that with him. And then we educate him on the product we used. This is where we start to like really customize it to the barber or the stylist or the hairdresser. This is really your own. Trying to get that height. I mean, I've only used like 2 knuckles worth, and I'm still working with it. What's really cool is that he can wear this style like this, or he can wear it tousled to the side or straight back, or he can wear it anyway because it's cut even on both sides. It's not going to be longer on one side than the other. It's cut symmetrical all the way through. Well, not symmetrical, but even all the way through. There's a blend point any direction you go. And if I tipped Evan upside down, he would have a completely square look. Square is going to be a little bit more masculine. Round is going to be a little bit more feminine. So we gave him a cool, like, square, masculine, rockabilly pompadour here. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to this. Just a little bit. Then I don't know if any of you guys have any like nightly routine. Any of my dudes out there, or girls, actually. I've heard through the grapevine some women are actually using the new Reuzel skincare routine. And just, I don't know if you want to hand me that real quick. I'm just going to use the intensive eye care cream on Evan today, just like as a little extra added service. But they have the hydrating face moisturizer, which I'm sure that both women and men can use because, we all got really nice skin. And then we got the clean and fresh solid face wash. So face wash, moisturizer, and then the eye cream. I'm going to do the eye cream on Evan just as like a little added service, to introduce the product into our services at our end service. And then it'll be like a little add-on. I think this is fun. Got yourself a little different pompadour look with the slope and the shadowed right here. Again, he doesn't have to style this on an everyday basis, but if he wanted to, he could. Because we customized it to his head and to his look. So this product off my hands a little bit. All right, so a little recap. We got the foundation. Then you're going to go through and you're going to taper the sides, going from short to long. Point A to point B, which is going to be the baseline is going to be your point B, going short to long. And then we're going to move from your dominant side. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to go all the way through. So following the baseline, keeping 90 degrees elevation and consistent tension on the comb. Left side, same thing. Body language, baseline. Cut all the way through, 90 degrees elevation. And then we're going to move into cutting the top. So you're going to section off the front portion of the head, creating a triangle. And then we're going to parallel to the baseline all the way through until no more hair can reach. And then we're going to move to the other side, parallel partings, pulling it to the baseline. And then when there's no more hair you can reach, then that's going to be your transition from the sides to the top. And then we move on to blow drying. The blow drying is going to finalize the haircut, completely dry. A couple things, never texturize or blend with the hair wet, always dry. Your detailing is going to be after the haircut, and that's tapering all natural and tapering the neck, never an inch or above, because then that's when you create a whole different haircut. And then we're going to finalize with product. And that's when you're going to educate your client on what product to use and how to use it. And emulsify, roots to ends, back to front, them, however they want to do it, down like this, up like this. Make sure it's all over your hands. And yeah, do we have any questions out there I can answer before I sign off? So I just wanted to thank you guys all for tuning in and coming to my live. And Evan, thank you so much for being my model. And any any type of hair, Reuzel has a product for it. So ask your stylist, ask a local Scumbassador, find a Scumbassador, and Reuzel will have a product for you. At the end of the day, my clients look good, I look good. So thank you guys for tuning in. Carrie, we good? Good on your end? Could talk about how good Reuzel is. I don't know if she can hear me.